Okay. Hello and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Ringgit Plus Ask the Expert Anything, our live version of the Ringgit Plus show. It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month this month, and for that, we thought it was a good idea to talk about an aspect of insurance that covers critical illnesses such as cancer. So, with that, I have Priscilla, our insurance expert with lots and lots of experience in the industry. So she's going to share with us a lot more about the insights of critical illness insurance. Now, I know, Priscilla, just now you mentioned that critical illness is a very straightforward insurance, but you're an expert, so maybe that's why you think it's straightforward. So maybe you want to share with us a little bit more about, how critical illness, what's the definition of it, and why is it really important, and how does it kind of supplement our insurance kind of coverage, right?
Yep, because a lot of people actually think that, okay, I already have life insurance. And I already have a medical card. I don't actually need a critical illness plan. So, but
For a
actually,
long time, sorry, I just wanted to share this as well. For a long time, I thought that was the case.
yeah, because a lot of people think that, okay, my medical treatments is already covered by medical card. So I don't need another plan for critical illness, for
Exactly.
say. So here I'm here today to to give some thoughts. I mean, like tell you that some of the misconception about critical illness and what are the things that you will need to take note. But before that, maybe a bit of introduction or maybe to tell you all what is critical illness insurance really about. Okay, so a few weeks ago we talked about life insurance. Okay, and that we know that actually not everyone need life insurance coverage, and even
Mhm.
if they do, okay, how much we already covered, how much should they be covered? So today, because of the breast cancer awareness month, we wanted to talk about critical illness coverage, as studies have shown that not many Malaysians have coverage on this. Okay, so what is it actually is? Okay, is it the same as medical card? The answer is no. Okay, critical illness insurance products gives the policyholder a lump sum of payment when one is diagnosed with critical illness that are covered under the insurance
Right.
policy. So let's say if you bought a 500,000 critical illness plan, so once this person is diagnosed with one of the covered critical illness, then they will be able to get the 500,000. So this 500,000, how are they going to use it? It's entirely up to the policy holder. They can either use it for income replacement for the next few years, or they can use it for some other treatments that are not covered under their medical card, and some actually can use it for fees for their nursing home. So it's entirely up to the policy holder how do they want to use this sum of money.
Right.
Okay, so before that, let's look at some of the number of cases in 2020, number of cancer cases among Malaysians. So the number one cancer cases in Malaysia is actually breast cancer, about 8,000 over, 8,418, which comprise about 17.8% of Malaysians, of the number of cases. So this data is based on World Health Organization, and apparently last year alone, there are a total of 48,000 new cancer cases. Okay, so and
Right.
actually also shows that 1 out of 4 Malaysians are at risk of being diagnosed with cancer. So there are actually more and more people getting diagnosed with cancer or even other critical illness because probably the different lifestyle and also the environment that we are living in. So which is why there are more and more people diagnosed with cancer. And in fact, right, I have when I was doing research, realized that actually more it's as the year goes by, the average age of people Malaysians getting diagnosed with critical illness is actually getting younger. So there are a lot of people saying that, hey, I'm so young, I don't need a coverage for critical illness because I'm only in my 20s or even my early 30s. But actually, this kind of critical illness hits at all ages, and you wouldn't know if you will be the unlucky ones or not. So it's best to actually get a critical illness coverage, especially when you are the breadwinner of the family. Okay, so but before that, before we go into more of the details, okay, here's a quiz time where we are
Oh,
actually
very
giving
fast.
out. Yep, we're actually giving up the Ringgit Plus Academy because, we just want to tell people and want to educate more people about not just on insurance but also investment and also cash flow management. So it's
Right.
a really really simple question. So, based on the statistic, 1 out of 10 Malaysians are at risk of being diagnosed with cancer. Is this true or false? Just hit into the comment button, comment section, and then just type in your answer. And the first three will be able to get into the academy session that is worth about what, 700? Is that, huh?
700 ringgit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've sat in. I think I mentioned to Roshan, I sat in for two of those sessions already, and they're pretty cool. I think the different sessions by I think I watched with Han and with Azra. I think every one of you guys do have your own sessions, right? And they're pretty interesting. Every one of you guys have your own style. So even though the stuff is pretty much the same, the academy syllabus is the same. It's quite interesting to see how different people present the the syllabus itself.
Yeah, when I first joined Ringgit Plus and when I looked at the content, it made me realize that because previously I thought that I know my financial situation, I can do my own financial plan. But when I look at it, there are actually things that actually allow me to learn more. So
Right.
a lot of previously I don't take more importance of my emergency fund because I realized that okay, I don't need my emergency fund. I just start investment straight. So this is one of the things that I learned, that it's actually not exactly the right thing for us to do.
Yeah. So I mean, to be fair, personal finance is there's so many different aspects of it, right? So we could be good in some parts and we could not be in others, right? So I just realized that with I tried the financial Ringgit Plus financial health, that tool, the web tool that we just launched.
Yeah,
Not that
so I
great in a
really,
few
really
parts.
urge everyone to go for it because it's actually a really useful tool, and you get to assess your financial health
Hmm.
pretty accurately, I would say. And then you would also have some recommendations to actually address the financial gaps. So do try it out, everyone, to go for it and to know your score.
Hmm.
If you think that you are actually doing well, maybe that score will give you some idea that maybe you are not doing very very well as you thought so.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, we'll talk more about that, I think, later on. But let's go back to this question. I think you shared the answer in your slide just now. I think
Yep.
whoever who was watching it. So the answer is actually
one
false,
out of
right?
four
It's one
Malaysian.
out of
Yep.
four. The
It's not one
chances
out
of
of 10.
Yeah, the chances of being diagnosed with cancer, the risk is actually pretty high. One out of every four of us will be diagnosed at some point. So the answer is false. But no, let's carry on, right? Like there's a lot of other areas that we need to talk about when it comes to critical illness insurance.
Yep. So once you are diagnosed with either cancer or even other critical illness, you will have your medical card to cover the treatment costs. Okay, if the treatment is actually approved by the Ministry of Health. Okay, but how are you going to survive without an income stream? And most often than not, once a person is diagnosed with critical illness, they will then take a break from treatment, correct? So based on the study, nearly half of the Malaysian cancer patient faces financial difficulties 1 year after diagnosis. Okay, so majority of them faces they use up all their savings, or they can't afford their medications, or can't pay for the medical consultation, and no longer paying rent and mortgage, which is something that is pretty serious because
Yeah,
they already run out of their money already to fund their expenses or fund their other living expenses. And then, sadly to say, some actually discontinued their treatments due to the lack of funds. So this is the reason why you need to get a medical card. It's important to get a medical card as well as a critical illness plan, because medical card is where you pay the hospital to save your life, while critical illness payout is to sustain your lifestyle. Okay, so
Right.
critical illness payout is for you to use, and medical card is for you to give the hospital to save your life. So both is equally important for your insurance risk management.
Right. Because I remember there was a thing where they said that, I think you mentioned, I'm not sure in this a few minutes ago, but after diagnosis, after treatment, there usually is like a little gap that's quite long, actually, not a little gap, where you actually don't work, so you don't actually have an active income.
Yes. So it on average, okay, people take about 3 to 5 years
Oh,
to recover from critical illness. So which is why we recommend everyone to at least have list down your expenses, your annual expenses, and then you will then know what is the recommended coverage for critical illness. So usually we go for 3 to 5 years, but of course, okay, you might be thinking that, 3 to 5 years only not enough. Yes, definitely, you might think it's not enough, okay, because oh, you want 1 million, I also want 1 million, but then 1 million premium, 1 million coverage, the premium would be very very high,
yep.
and when the premium is high, that means the coverage is high, and the premium is actually also pretty high. So should you actually put more than what you actually pay for insurance coverage for something that you don't actually need, okay? Because you should only limit about 10% of your income to pay for insurance premium. And if you were to commit more than that, okay, you might experience some of the opportunity costs where you could be using this money to invest in something else, or to use it for your other goals, instead of just
That's true.
committing to a insurance plan that is covering you, or maybe you are over insured instead.
Hmm. That's true.
Okay, so now we are going to the next quiz question. Okay, the quiz is that if this person earns 100,000 annually, how much should he be covered for critical illness insurance? Is it 100 to 200,000, which is the 1 to 2 years, or 300,000 to 500,000, which is 3 to 5 years of expenses, or should he be covered for more than 1 million ringgit? Of course, this one, if I were to choose, I would want to go for 1 million ringgit. Actually, everyone wants to have more coverage, but then you will have to understand the premium behind it, lah.
Yeah, yeah. I think I've checked before a long time ago. This is way before I joined Ringer Plus, and the premiums for critical illness insurance is actually really really high. The higher you go, that there's a the graph doesn't it's not like a linear graph.
Yeah.
So yeah, it really does make sense to kind of have a little comfort zone, which I think you shared in the previous slide of annual expenses, and it makes a lot of sense because like you said, there's some opportunity costs there that several hundred ringgit extra that you end up paying could go into like savings, emergency funds, or even investments, right?
Yes, actually, if you were to look at the product disclosure sheet like any other person before committing to an insurance plan, you can actually look at the cost of insurance. So the cost of insurance is something that is very interesting, that you can compare with every other insurance company. So you will be
Right.
able to see that the younger you get, like for example, if you buy in your 20s, the premium is not that high. But when you reach to 40 years old, actually it will be higher, and female and male will have a different rate. And
Right. Correct.
unfortunately, critical illness, if I'm not mistaken, female is much more expensive compared to male, because studies have shown women are more prone to diseases compared to men. So which is why both if both person A and person B, they are male and female, but same age group, same birthday and everything, the female will pay much higher compared to the male one.
Mm,
So this is something that you will have to take note, and always compare with other insurance company as well.
yeah, that's
Okay.
actually some pretty interesting trade secret, because I think not many people will give you that insight on the cost of insurance. I think they measure it by the per 1,000 ringgit, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
per 1,000
the
ringgit,
value.
or maybe some of them based on the sum assured. So here's the thing. when you
Sorry,
buy
before we
critical.
go to the slide, we want to give the answer
Oh
for
yeah.
the quiz. Sorry,
So the
the answer,
answer
I think,
is,
yeah.
what about you? What do you think is the answer is fun?
Well, you did say you want more than 1 million ringgit, but I think I saw your slide just now. It did say 3 to 5 years of your annual income. So it does make sense to have that little, quite a big buffer, which is 300 to 500,000 ringgit, right?
Yep. 300 to 500 is
Yes.
actually the recommended one lah. Yep.
So the answer is B
So
here. I think we
yep.
have some answers already. So our producers are telling us to kind of move on. Okay, let's carry on.
Okay. So here's the thing with
Mhm.
either life insurance policy or medical card or critical illness, actually any other insurance plan that there's a policy contract or there's a product disclosure sheet, you would actually really need to take your time to read it and not just go through, scroll down and just click everything okay,
Accept.
because that's what usually people does. It's like
Yeah,
you just sign every copy when your agent asks you to sign here, you just sign without
yeah,
actually
that's
looking into
true.
it. So this is something that you really need to educate yourself, and then also you need to understand what you are buying before committing into it, because there's some catch for each insurance company, or even some insurance product is different. So for critical illness plan, one thing you will have to take note is the survival period. Okay,
Okay.
so survival period is something that you might not know, Pang, right? You do know that there's actually survival period.
I know of the waiting period. I'm not really sure about the survival period.
Okay, so survival period, for example, is like this. Let's say you buy a CI plan from company ABC, and then it's mentioned in their contract that if he or she is diagnosed with cancer, he must survive for at least 7 days to get the critical illness payout. Okay,
Oh,
so I have also seen companies that imposes up to 30 days as well. So means to
wow.
say, once this person is diagnosed with critical illness, this person cannot die. He must survive during this survival period, for example, 7 days, to actually get this payout. So if he die in between, let's say he's diagnosed on day 0 and he died on day 5, but the survival period for this critical illness is 7 days, then he will not get payout for the critical illness plan.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So this is something that you really need to take into it, because there are companies that have 7 days, 10 days. I've even seen 30 days as well. So you will have to compare with different insurance company to look at what you are comfortable with lah. But also some products that they do not have any survival period. So that is actually a good thing as well. Okay.
Nice.
So another thing that you need to take note is that, okay, there are a lot of people saying that, oh, I'm diagnosed with cancer. How come the insurance company don't give me my payout? Have you heard about it,
Yeah.
Bang?
Yeah. I mean, I see that on social media quite a bit. And some insurers get that more than others.
Yes. So they always actually, when I read to the newspaper and then when I know the specific company, so then I will actually last time I will find out what's wrong. So apparently this person diagnosed with let's say this person is diagnosed with early stage of cancer, but the critical illness product that he purchased is only payable when the cancer is at advanced stage. So
Right.
if it's only at early stage, of course they won't pay out for the critical illness plan that they buy, because they only pay when it's at advanced stage. So you will also need to understand that the diagnosis of the critical illness must fulfill the policy definition. Okay, so maybe sometimes, like for example, stroke, advanced stage, maybe they consider like I don't know, like few nerves to be blocked or something like that. To or I mean, like each different critical illness have a different definition of
Right.
early, intermediate, and advanced. So you really need to understand which is actually claimable, and what you are actually buying. Does it gives you early stage payout, or does it give you only at advanced stage? Okay.
Mm.
So
And
just now
that's
you
why
mentioned that.
reading the policy definition is very important, right? Your contract will
Yes.
say all of these things.
Yes.
Right.
So it's, I mean, like a lot of people think that the contract or product disclosure sheet is very difficult to understand.
I mean, it's
But
very
if
thick.
you but if you were to take your time to understand, to read it, it's actually not that difficult, correct, Pang?
I think you're the one again. You're the one who is in the industry for a very long time, so I think it's easy to say that. But I think a lot of people, what puts a lot of people off, is really seeing that contract and seeing that it's like a little newspaper thickness, and they'll be like, oh, there's a lot of things. So then like then that's where the agents, my experience as well was, don't worry, I will show you which are the important parts. And then they're
So
just like, okay, is this part, is this page? And then, okay, everything done. Okay, you sign here. And it really happens, right?
yes, yes, it does.
Yeah,
So policy contract maybe is too wordy, lengthy. Then you can always look at product disclosure sheet. Product disclosure sheet
right.
is meant to let customer able to understand it easily, and it's usually pretty complex, but it also easy enough for people to understand. So if you don't want to read policy contract, then read the product disclosure sheet. Or you can also get a financial planner, a certified financial planner, to do some policy review for you, or perhaps before committing to an insurance plan, you can ask them to actually look at the policy definition, whether this plan is something that they really, really want to buy or not.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So
That's
just
that's
now
a
you
good idea.
mentioned about waiting period. So what do you
Mhm.
understand from the waiting period?
I well, might be wrong again, but waiting period is that duration between your policy going into effect and the diagnosis, right?
Uh,
No?
okay.
Oh no.
It's something like more like waiting period. It's more like a observation period.
Oops.
Hold on, yeah. Hold on.
Telephone. Okay, so yeah, yeah. I might have embarrassed myself.
Okay, sorry.
No problem, no problem.
Okay, so I
I'm
was
yeah. Okay, yes. What is waiting period? I'm not sure whether I was correct.
So waiting period is like an observation period. So let's say when you buy the plan, okay, once you buy the plan, then the first 30 or 60 days will be the waiting period of the observation period. So if there is let's say sign and symptoms that happen during this period, then the company have the say to say that okay, we will not be covering you if anything happened, like sign or symptom that happened during this period. For example,
Mm-hmm.
okay, this person, once he buy already, then he go to the clinic to do a body checkup. And then during this time, maybe the first 30 days, he found that there's actually a lump in the brain, or tumor in the brain.
Mm-hmm.
Then few years later, this tumor progressed into cancer.
Okay.
Okay, so the insurance company have the say to say, okay, because there is sign and symptom that happened during the waiting period, the first 30 days, they will have the say to reject your payout.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, because it's suspicious, correct? Once you
Mm-hmm.
already buy the buy so you once you buy the plan, and then so fast, like a short period of time, you have some sign and symptoms. So means to say you enter into the contract knowing that you have
Something.
some conditions. That's why you
Right.
buy the insurance plan. So they have the right to investigate and everything and all.
Right. So that
Yep.
that's where again, it comes back to haunt you many years down the line. So that your policy may still be in effect, but if they find that you actually knew that there was something, uh, right,
Not to say new, but there is actually a record,
right,
official record of you going into hospital or clinics to find out your condition.
mm.
Then they already
Okay,
know,
okay,
when they do backtrack and then they investigate, they find that okay, maybe this claim is something some very suspicious. For example, this person buy on 2018, and then within 2 years time he then claim. So if
Oh,
he claim it such a short period of time, it might trigger the insurance company to do
right.
some investigation. So when they investigate, then they found out that, hey, actually before this person buy, during this waiting period, or even before he buy this plan, there's some conditions already.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to say, okay, this is a pre-existing condition and they will not cover. Because
Right.
during when you buy insurance plan, you need to answer truthfully, correct? If you didn't,
Yes.
then and they find out, then it's considered as a non-disclosure.
Right. And then they have the right to deny that payout.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
So one thing, one my advice is that you should actually buy insurance when you are healthy, because once you have any conditions, it will
Yeah.
be very difficult for you to get covered. So for example, there's this customer of mine that yesterday she told me that she realized that her critical illness plan is not sufficient. So I told her lah how much. She said she only have 50,000. Then when I asked her if she have any medical condition, she said yes, she just removed a tumor. So this is something like, when you experience having diagnosed with critical illness, then only you realize that it's it's insufficient.
Yeah.
So it's usually too late. So which is why I always urge customer to go to get yourself protected with CI plan when you are perfectly healthy. Okay,
Nice.
so there are actually many types of critical illness plan in the insurance market,
Mm.
and then you might be thinking that, oh, CI plan is actually quite expensive, or something that you cannot afford. Okay, but let me tell you this: you don't. I mean, like, there are actually plans out there that is pretty affordable. So how do you get an affordable plan? Is that you go directly to the insurance company website. So means to say, like for example, AXA. You go to AXA webpage and then you click online products. Okay, so once you go into the online products, then you will see that there are actually plenty of insurance product that allows you to buy directly from them instead of going through agent, and that will
Right.
allow you to save some of the fees.
Mm. Right.
So,
Right. Right.
so there's also early stage. Early stage means to say they pay a payout when you are diagnosed with critical illness in the early stage. There's AXA, and advanced stage there's Great Eastern or AIA. Or you only want specifically on cancer coverage. There's also Prudential, FWD, or even Etika. And there are many other insurance company that offers critical illness plan as well. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so for FWD, okay, you can even get yourself covered from only 10 ringgit per month. So this is FWD Care Direct is only for cancer protection. So if you're only looking for cancer, then this is the right plan for you. Or if you're thinking that, okay, cancer, maybe only one critical illness, maybe you want to have a bit more, then FWD also have the big three, which is the heart attack, stroke, and also cancer. So you can
Right.
go for that, and it's also pretty affordable, which is about 10 ringgit per month.
$10. Yeah. 10 ringgits.
Yep.
Very cheap.
Yeah, very, very cheap. So it's very, very affordable. You just have to go, you just have to scan the QR code here and then just do some quotation. Then you will know that actually critical illness insurance premium is not that expensive as what you thought. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so like for example, AXA. AXA is something that I would recommend to go for if you want to have payout at early stage. Let's say this
Right.
person is diagnosed with early stage of cancer. Then under this plan, AXA e-critical early care will be able to give you the payout at early stage. And then they also cover about 50 critical illness condition and only at 16 ringgit per month. So I would think that this is a really, really good plan for everyone to go for. And I actually wanted to go and get one for myself as well, because
Wow.
this is I think in the online platform, the ones that don't have to go through agent, this is the only
Yeah.
plan that offers early coverage. So
And
which is
if I'm not
something.
wrong, because I did do the content for this one, we this is one of the few plans, medical slash critical insurance plans that don't require you to have a medical checkup beforehand. So this one
Yep.
is an instant approval plan as well, which is quite
Yep.
rare for this kind of CI medical coverage, right?
Yep. Yes. So I think you have to answer some health question,
Yes.
some really really basic ones. So you don't. I mean, like you don't have to go to a medical checkup, which a lot of people are reluctant to go for, especially during this COVID-19 pandemic.
Hmm.
And they can cover even I think up to 250,000, which is quite a big sum. So
Correct.
if based on your expenses or your annual income, you are earning you should be getting 300 to 500,000, then you can buy one plan from AXA or another plan from maybe FWD or
Yeah.
even Fi Life or even AIA. So you just combine as long as you have a few
Yep.
insurance company add up the coverage, then you'll be fine.
Mm.
Yep.
Nice, nice. So this is where like having a big overview of your insurance plans is very important, and I think a lot of people would just stick to like one insurer and one plan, and then they're like, okay, that's enough for me, right? Because it gets very complicated to research from different insurers, maybe have different agents for those people who prefer to have agents, because each agent is only usually attached to just one insurance company, right? So
Yep.
having a few also, I think some people have mentioned before, having a few also gives you, spreads your I guess the
The
risk, is it?
diversification.
Diversification, yeah, to have more insurers, and in the event some insurance company you may deny some payout, maybe
Yes.
that's
Yes.
so having more than one insurer also makes sense, right?
So we can treat it like investment also. Like do not put all your eggs in one basket. So you just spread out for few insurance company.
See, now that's another pretty good advice. I think honestly, not many people would go through the hassle of this one, but from an expert's perspective,
I mean, the hassle would be if last time you will want to go and meet few agents, a Great Eastern agent, AIA agent, or AXA
yeah,
agent. But if you can go online, you don't need to deal with agents. You can just click a few buttons and you'll get yourself insured already, and with such a low price. So why not go direct instead of going through agent? Some of them might worry that, oh, maybe my claims might be very difficult. I will need someone to service me on claims. But during this time, like technology and advancement, submitting claims is as easy as just submitting few documents online and take a few days for them to process. So I
nice,
don't see a worry about that as well.
nice, nice. Yeah, that's something I think a lot more people should know, right? Cool. Wow, we've reached the end.
Yep.
Might actually it's quite straightforward, like you said.
Yep, it's something very very easy. It's just that some terms or maybe some things that you need to catch, which is the survival period, as we mentioned. So
Hmm. Hmm.
look through the product disclosure sheet as what we mentioned previously.
Cool. Okay, so let's go to some questions. We had some questions over on our online Slido page. So this is the first question. Is a medical card the same as critical illness? So critical illness insurance lah. I think this is what this person is
Yep.
asking.
So a medical card, like what I say, is to
Hmm.
give money to hospital to pay your hospital bills,
Hmm.
save your life. But critical illness is for you to use for either income replacement or some nursing home, or maybe sometimes previously remember Lee Chong Wei had nose cancer, I think, right?
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
his treatment is called proton beam therapy. So that is actually
Wow.
currently not recognized in Malaysia. It's not one of the treatment for cancer, nose cancer in Malaysia. So he went to Taiwan to get this treatment. So if that is not covered by his medical card, so he can use the critical illness payout to fund for this kind of expenses, treatment expenses that is not covered lah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because critical illness is all about diagnosis and not for treatment. So
Yes.
the payout happens at the diagnosis period.
Yep. So
Interesting.
yep.
Interesting. Wow. Okay.
Why
Cool.
should I get?
Okay. Second question is, why should I get a critical illness plan when I already have my medical plan? My agent keep asking me to get it.
So I would think that it's the same answer that I gave for just now. So
Yeah.
medical card is different. It's for expense for your hospital bills, and critical plan is for your income replacement. So when your
Mm,
agent keep asking you to get it, it's sometimes, I mean, like, agent asks you to get things that you really really need. So if you, I mean, like, first thing to do is that you should really get medical coverage. Once you're already able to afford a little bit more, then you go for critical illness plan to cover your expenses, especially when you have dependents. So critical illness plan is something that you should get it as well.
mm. Good point. Good point. Okay, the next question. If I don't have a cancer history in my family, my no family member has cancer history, I don't need critical illness plan, right?
Okay, there is no such thing as guarantee in terms of this kind of critical illness. We wouldn't know if these things will happen to you. And some more, now our eating habits, our exercise habit, we are not like last time, and we are more
Yeah,
prone to diseases. So doesn't mean that your parents are or your family members don't have cancer history, doesn't mean that you will not get cancer. So, or even not cancers per se, but also other critical illness like heart
correct.
attack, stroke. This is something very, very common. I bet every one of you here, you know someone that is suffering from heart attack or someone suffered from stroke. So these things of this illness is very, very common nowadays. So it's actually important to get yourself protected as well.
Yeah, just to add as well, like I think a lot of critical illness plans cover like at least 30 to 50 plus critical
Yep,
illnesses, right?
yep,
So it's not
yep.
just cancer, but there are cancer specific critical illness plans. Yes.
Like for those plan, I've seen some with 39 critical illness, some 45. So cancer will be as a whole by itself, any cancer. Then
Right.
after that, there is heart attack, stroke, Parkinson, coma, blindness. There are all sorts of them. So you can just
Right.
look through the list before you purchase it.
Nice. Cool. I have some minor health issues. Can I still get critical illness coverage protection?
Okay, so I wouldn't say yes or no straight away because I'm not an underwriter and I don't know the details of your health condition. So my advice is that when you apply online, you look through the questions that they ask. If it's not related to your health issue, then just answer truthfully lah. But
Yeah.
if you are going through an agent and then they will ask you very very specifically and you want to disclose, you just have to disclose it, and then it's up to the insurance company whether they want to undertake it or not. So
Nice.
so you just the rule of thumb with insurance providers, and also when you are buying insurance, is to answer truthfully and
Truthfully.
honestly.
And that just because if one insurance company doesn't accept doesn't mean that other insurance will not, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So different companies will have a different risk appetite. So the threshold is different for different diseases as well.
Nice. Cool. That's very good advice. I think we're at last question, but I have one more question after this. Please remind me.
Okay.
Um, I'm only 24 years old this year. Should I still get a critical illness plan?
Well, if you're only 24 years old, you started going to work, just fresh grad, I would say that you should get a medical card first. Okay,
Mm,
so once your income level increases and when you have dependents depending on you, then that time you start to think about critical illness as well. But that doesn't mean that when you are single and no dependent, you shouldn't get critical illness. You should actually get it as well, because if anything happen, you're single, you have no family members, that critical illness payout will be the fund for you to go for nursing home. So this
yeah,
is something
treat.
that you would
Yeah,
you should get as well.
because you may not be able to work for quite some time, and therefore you have to rely on only on your savings, and that's not
Yes.
very good. Yeah, cool. I have one last question. And just that's just coming from the slides that we just went through. You know, do you think it's worth it? So I know that with critical illness plans, not many uh offer early stage payout,
Yep.
and those that do early stage payouts, the premium is usually slightly higher.
Yes, a
So
bit
is it?
higher.
Yeah, it's a little bit, but it's also, I mean, if you come over 20 years or whatever, right? Like that does come up to quite a bit. But my question is it worth getting that early stage critical illness plan over a standard one?
I would say if you have the a bit of budget, you should go for early stage because by the time when you wait until advanced stage only get the payout, sorry to say, it would be too late. It would be too late, and you just have to
Right.
wait until advanced stage, and they can claim by the
Then you can
time.
claim.
If like you have survival period, then you have to survive for maybe 7 days to get the
Right.
money. So if you're able to afford, why not just add a little bit more early stage, and then chances of you to recover is also higher.
Right. I mean, that's a good point because the I think the way that they've structured it is also when you have an early stage diagnosis, the payout is usually about 50% of the
50%. Yep.
sum insured, right? Yeah. But
Yep.
that still means also your chances of survival is also higher, cost of
Yes.
treatment is lower, and overall, like you said, it just makes more sense to pay a little bit more.
Because when you're diagnosed in early stage, takkan you continue to work and then don't go for treatment, right? You will
Yes.
stop all your work and then you will go to hospital to get treatment that will be covered under medical card. But then what about income replacement? You won't be working during this time as well. So
Yeah.
it's good to get an early stage one.
Cool, cool. That's very good advice. And I think that was the last question. No more new questions that have come in. Uh, Thanks a lot, Priscilla, because this is actually something that we really try to talk more about. Insurance penetration rates is very low in Malaysia, um, so we really want to try and address this a bit more in depth. And having someone from the industry to tell us like all this kind of insights and really good advice. Uh, for free uh, it's actually really good and really useful. So I hope all the viewers who are watching find this very useful as I have. I think even for someone who has been in the personal finance space. But if you want to find out more, do check out the Ringer Plus Financial Planner. It is a one-to-one financial planning service offered by Ringer Plus, which is statistically shown to have improved every single client's personal finance goals and at rates that are up to 83% cheaper than the competition in Malaysia. So if you want to talk more to Priscilla about your insurance plans, she's a great person to go to, but we also have a few other CFPs who are licensed and who will be able to give you an overview of your insurance protection and some suggestions and recommendations. So do scan that QR code if you're interested and then find out more from there. So anyway, I think that's all the time that we have today. Priscilla, thank you so much again for joining us. I'll talk to you more maybe for other
Sure.
insurance plans as well, right?
Free
But yes,
consultation, is it?
yes, of course. That's the perk of being a Ringer Plus employee, right?
Sure.
Okay, okay. I'll see you soon. And thank you everyone
Okay.
for watching. I'll see you guys in the next episode.